Hello guys, welcome back. This is a very overdue video. I told you guys about last year that I was gonna do a Q&A video, and I did it. I started it, and life got really crazy and I just never finished it. So I just finished filming my YouTube Christmas gift exchange with Tiffany from Our Small Town Life, and my kids are being quiet. I have a fresh cup of tea. My person who is my secret Santa got me like really yummy snacks, and so I thought, I'm already locked in my room. I might as well just do that, so then I can finally get this out to you guys. So if you're new here, hi, I'm Amanda. I'm a mom of 6. My oldest is 16 and my youngest is 2. I primarily do like cooking and homemaking content. My husband and I just bought a 10-acre homestead this summer, and we are beginning to be homesteaders. We're learning as we go. We currently have 2 cows, a donkey, 4 dogs, about 20 something chickens, 5 ducks, and 2 turkeys. And some of those animals we inherited with the property, mainly the dogs, the donkey, and some of the ducks and chickens. But we have purchased our cows since we were here. We have an almost breeding age Jersey Angus heifer, she's almost at breeding age, and her name is Gertrude. And then we also have a young heifer who is a Jersey Ayrshire mix, so she's a full dairy cow, and she won't be breeding age until sometime late next year. And so we got our first cow, and a lot of people have been curious, so this will be my first question I ask, is that people asked if we wanted a milk cow, why did we get a Jersey a Jersey Angus mix? Well, we've never milked a cow before, and so to get a full milk cow when you, number one, aren't used to the type of production that milk cows have, it just isn't wise, because if we don't do it properly, we could possibly be giving her mastitis and just a host of other things. So we wanted to get a calf to where we could get maybe a gallon out of her a day, because that would be enough, and then we could calf share with her for the baby. And we plan to breed her with an Angus cow for a beef cow. So, and then at the same time, Margot, our younger cow, when we're ready to breed her at the end of next year, after we've kind of gotten our bearings about us, we will also breed her with an Angus cow too. And so they will just keep breeding beef cows for us to put in our freezer eventually. So that was kind of the thought process that we had, was that Gertrude was a perfect cow for us to learn on, because she has a great temperament. But she also, when her time comes, she will be tasty and go into the freezer. So, let me pull up questions. Okay, the next question we had is, how is Caleb doing in therapy? So Caleb actually switched. So shortly after we moved to our house in June, our clinic that we had been at for almost 3 years, quit taking our insurance, and that felt like the world collapsed out from under me. Just because most places have a really long wait time for speech services. I did end up finding a clinic that got him in rather quickly, and it has been very much a blessing for us, just to have fresh eyes on him. And also like just different approaches, different methods has been very beneficial for him. And so we have been seeing a lot of progress. We're working on like 2-word phrasing. The thing with apraxia is you really have to work on those motor planning patterns. And so we've been doing a lot of like hand motions to prompt him of the sound and remind him. So like we go p like that for p, p. and then like tuh. And so we've just been working through. So therapy is actually going very well for him. We're very he's making good progress, and we're happy. So then somebody else, are we still living in Illinois? Do we still want to move states? Yes, we're still living in Illinois. We wanted to move, but moving a large family out of state, there's a lot of moving pieces to it if you're not going to rent or you don't have a job lined up or whatnot. And my husband and I ended up finding our house. We love it here, and we're content with staying where we are. At this point in time, we do not have any intention of moving out of state. We took a mortgage on our home and whatnot. So a few of these, okay, here we go. The other one is the one that inevitably always gets asked: are we going to have more kids? I don't think so. We have to be honest with the bandwidth we have because we have a special needs child. And I think that for a lot of people, the amount of children that you have can become a source of pride. And I try to balance the fact that these are eternal souls that need individual love, care, and attention. And I don't want to just flippantly have more children for like a status symbol. But at the same time, I also want to be sensitive to, I want to be obedient to the Lord if he did want us to have more children. So it's kind of just complicated. I think there have been a lot of moments where I'm like, yep, I'm done having kids. I don't really want to, especially now that we're farming, like I don't know that I really want to, like we have so much building and infrastructure and whatnot to do that I don't know that I want to do that with a newborn. My oldest is 16. She's rounding the years of finishing her childhood, and the likelihood that we could be grandparents in the next 3 to 5 years isn't entirely out of the realm of possibility. She does hope to get married young. Her dad and I were 18 and 20 when we had her. So the big elephant in the room about having more children for me, though, is that I do have a high needs child who needs attention. He needs care, especially when it comes to homeschooling, that I just need to be really honest with myself about what I can handle and what I can't. And so right now, I don't feel that I have the bandwidth to add another baby into our family. And I'm okay with that for right now. So then somebody had asked about the house that we sold. Was it too expensive to live in your old house? Did we feel overwhelmed with the house note, bills, food, gas? Is that why we moved? No. So the house that we sold, we actually had no mortgage on. We owned that house completely outright. We paid for all the renovations in cash. We had no debt on that house. And so financially, we were doing really great in that house. We had other debt, like car loans and credit cards and whatnot, but we didn't have house debt. And financially, we were handling everything fine. To just be completely and fully transparent, it's been, in February, it'll be 2 years. Since we had moved out of that house and started the process of selling it. We actually didn't sell the house until last September because we had to get our septic replaced. And to just, the short version of it is that it was an absolutely nightmare of a renovation, and it had so many memories that made us so bitter, and we were out of money to finish it the way we wanted to, and honestly we were completely unmotivated to finish it. And to be honest, again, being completely transparent, I didn't want that house. I didn't want to buy that house. I knew that it was going to have a lot of problems. I knew that it was going to be a headache, but my husband really saw the potential in it, and he really wanted to do it. And so we did it, and we had a lot of friends who helped us, but we had a lot of people who made a lot of promises that didn't follow through with things. We had a lot of problems with our contractor, and him taking advantage of our situation and COVID and everything like that, because it was in the height of COVID. And so we could never just really settle in there. If I could go back and talk to end of 2020 Amanda, beginning of 2021 Amanda, I would say do not sell the house that you were in. We were in a house that we owned. Again, the house that we sold to move to that house, we also owned without a mortgage, free and clear. We paid cash for that house. And it was a nice house. It wasn't like fancy or anything like that. But we bought what we could with what money we had, and we had 5 acres of land, and it wasn't fertile land, like it wasn't like perfect homesteading land. But I wish that we would have just stayed put in that house longer, because the reason that we moved, the reason we sold that house, which was the house that I started my YouTube channel in, the reason we sold that house. So if you go and you look at my very first like embarrassing YouTube videos, that is the first house that we owned here on YouTube. It was actually the second house we'd ever owned. But so this is the 4th house we've owned in our marriage. But that house, we were on 5 acres of land. It was like great. We didn't have a mortgage on it and whatnot, and I wish we would have just stayed put, because the reasons that we moved all crumbled and fell apart. We moved for relationships with people that we don't have relationships with anymore. They completely disintegrated after we moved. Hey Caleb, sorry, keep getting distracted by kids. We don't go to that church anymore. We don't talk to like anybody from there. All the people that were our friends there, they're no longer our friends. Everything imploded, and it derailed our life tremendously doing that. And we had the right intentions. We had the right motives, but we did it for the wrong people and the wrong community. And that's not necessarily to say anything negative about them. It's just certain things aren't the right fit, and it's not the Lord's will for what you're supposed to do with your life. I truly believe that we are finally in the church that we are supposed to be in, that we have been searching for, and that we have a really great support system in our church. We're getting to know people and whatnot, but I wish that we could have avoided the financial ruin that renovation. I mean, we walked away with every single dollar we put into that house. We did not lose one single dollar, and we're so very thankful for that. But we lost $50,000 in profit because of shoddy work and people being dishonest when we purchased the home. So when we purchased the home, we were told it was on city well and sewage. And when we went to sell the house, or well, actually shortly after we moved into the house, we discovered we had a septic. And so when you buy a house for cash. A lot of times, especially when we purchased the house for $40,000, and a lot of times in those situations you're not allowed to do inspections, and so we didn't have an inspection, and had we had an inspection on the septic, it would have failed and the seller would have had to replace it for us the way we had to replace it for our buyers. And our buyers actually just sold it. They lived there for a year and they actually sold it. They were moving out of state, but they finished the entire upstairs that we did not get to, and they put in the new windows and everything like that, and it turned out wonderful. So we wanted to move for a community. We built that house for a community that was no longer there. It had so much hurt and so much pain in that house that we needed a fresh start. But actually we were gonna stay living in it until it sold, but we wound up having carbon monoxide poisoning and black mold take over our attic because a roofer who we had take down our chimney failed to check that our utilities were vented, and it was vented through that chimney, and thus, because our attic wasn't insulated, that is why by the grace of God our 6 children didn't die in their sleep. But we got black mold in the attic, so it cost, you know, $15,000-$20,000 to get that remediated and taken care of to even put it on the market. And then we had to spend $25,000 on a septic, and we had to put in a new hot water heater and a new furnace that was going out the side of the house. And so we lost all of our profit. And so it was a life lesson, that's for sure. And so we are a lot more reserved now about like who we let in close to our life and in our circle, and we're just being really intentional with the lessons that we learned from that season so that we don't make the same mistakes again. So then people ask a lot about Nikolai, who Nikolai is. Nikolai is my husband's best friend. We call him our brother because he is. He's our brother in Christ, but like he's my brother. He's like the little brother that I never had. They were co-workers at my husband's old job, and they got really close. And Nikolai went through a hard season of life, and he needed somewhere to stay, and he came and stayed with us. And we realized really quickly that we all wanted to farm, and we wanted to farm together. And so we have lived together for almost 2 years. In the spring it'll be 2 years that he has lived with us, and we split the expenses of the farm and everything like that. He pays rent to live here, and yeah, that's the deal with Nikolai. One day, hopefully, he has 2 acres on our 10 that he can build a house on if and when he's ready. And yeah. Oh, the other question that I get a lot is, why do I not purchase meat in my grocery hauls? Like chicken, beef, all that kind of stuff. And the answer to that is that I purchase all my meat in bulk from local farmers. So I make it a point to put aside money every single month for when I need to buy a half a beef, or I need to buy a pig, or I need to buy this, or I need to buy that. And we just keep our freezers stocked through the year so that it's not a line item in our grocery budget. My grocery budget is literally just for basically pantry and fresh items. Our meat budget is something that's completely separate. I feel like I had one other question that had been asked. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Okay, I had 2 last questions. So the first question was, do I regret getting my gallbladder out? Absolutely not. No. So I am very holistically minded. I consider myself pretty crunchy. I'm not a big facilitator of removing body organs that God put there. But I am so very thankful that I got my gallbladder out. Gallbladder pain is like ridiculous. And there's just, if you've never had it, you don't know. To me, it is worse than childbirth, honestly. I would rather have a natural childbirth than go through gallbladder pain ever again. I am so very thankful that my gallbladder is gone. I have had absolutely no complications. I have not had like bile dumping or malabsorption. I have not had issues with any of that. So the last question is what am I doing to lose weight? So I have lost 45 pounds since April. So May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So in the last 7 or 8 months, I've lost 45 pounds. Me and weight loss is a kind of a complicated thing. I was really tiny when I was young. I was like 110 pounds, and then I had kids, and I was on prescription ADHD medication for most of my childhood, so I was constantly on appetite suppressants. So when I turned 18 and I no longer wanted to be on those medications, I had absolutely no idea how to have a healthy relationship with food. I had no idea about portion control. I had no idea like what was healthy. I had absolutely none of that. I had none of the knowledge that I have now. And so I gained about 60 or 70 pounds when I was pregnant with Emmeline. And then like I would lose some weight and I would gain weight, and like it just kind of yo-yoed through the years. And Caleb, go upstairs, honey. Go upstairs. Now I have spent a lot of time over the years doing various things to lose weight. I've done personal training, I've done macros, I've done calorie deficits, I've done all the things, and I've just always struggled to still lose weight. I've done CrossFit and all the stuff. And finally I decided to try a GLP-1, and I have been doing a GLP-1 under the advisement of my doctor, and she has been keeping an eye on things in my blood work and everything. And so I have struggled with insulin resistance for a long time and whatnot, and so doing the GLP-1 has been very beneficial for me health-wise, because I had low thyroid function. My camera battery died that time. So I had like low thyroid function. I just had like various things that, like with my blood work, that just weren't great. And so also I had 3 babies in 4 years, and I didn't really give my body a break at all. Plus I breastfed those babies, and just I was just kind of a mess. And so I was really at the point, I was at my highest weight that I had ever been when I started. And I was at 200 pounds, and I basically had told myself if I had ever gotten to 200 pounds that like I didn't know what I was gonna do, because I'd always kind of stayed at like 170, 180, but I was at 200 pounds, and I'm only 5 foot tall. And so I did a lot of research into GLP-1s and how they work and whatnot. I listened to several podcasts by people that I trust, and did research on my own. And I gradually titrated up to the highest dose, which is what I'm at now. And I am currently, I'm almost into the 150s. So I started at about 210 pounds, and that was like, especially like right when I was about to get my gallbladder out in January and everything, I was the heaviest I'd ever been, and I was miserable. And I basically was like, I'm either just gonna suck it up and deal with this and just eat what I want to eat and quit caring, or I'm like, this is like the last thing that I can try. And so it's not cheap. It's like $140 a month for me to do it, but it's just something that's a priority for me. I'm hoping that I will end 2025 being in the 150s is what I'm hoping for. That was my goal, and that by the end of 2026 I will be in the, I want to get to a healthy like 125, 130. I don't know, I haven't been that small in a really long time, so I might think that it's too small, when it happens, I'm just gonna go until I feel like I'm comfortable with where I'm at, and then maintain it. So my insurance doesn't cover, I'm doing semaglutide, and it doesn't cover it. And so I actually get it compounded through Amble Health, and they have a provider that you work through there that prescribes it to you, but I also work hand in hand with my primary care doctor. And so I am turning the corner into almost 50 pounds, because I was at like 210 before I got my gallbladder out, and then when I got my gallbladder out, I dropped about 10 pounds from not eating, but also because like I was too scared to eat, honestly. So it was like that, and then the actual surgery and stuff, and like when I got like my swelling and stuff went down, I was down to about 203, 200, like right about then. And so that's where I started. So I hope you guys enjoyed this very overdue Q&A. If you would like me to do another one of these and you'd like to drop fresh questions down below, I'd be more than happy to do that. It's nice to know that my bed is like a perfect sit spot to do a sit down video. But I've got to clean all this stuff up. I've got to get in the kitchen. I need to make some granola. I need to make some bread. I need to get stuff for school set up, because we've got to get back to school and all that sorts of fun stuff. So if you like this video, please make sure to hit the like button, and like I said, drop me a comment down below if you want to ask more questions or to just comment on what I've said. And if you're not following me on Instagram, I'll put the handle down below. So until next time, guys, I'll see you later.